Welcome to the Big Ol' Bracket. Here, Jacob and I are joined by three friends to scream over fictitious matchups and have debates no one ever asked us to have.
You know, like Best Pompadour in Anime or Best Animated Kids Show between 1994 and 2005. Stuff that doesn't really matter in the long run, but hey, what else are we gonna do?
Once we determine a topic, we pick the competitors, match them up using our highly advanced randomization system,
An old bingo bag with the names written on a slip of paper.
then we yell, argue, and insult each other until a winner is determined. Then we move on to the next round and do it all again.
When all's said and done, we have, in theory, the best example of whatever it is we're debating.
Will we still be friends when this is all over?
Let's
find out.
You ever look at a bracket and just go, wait, how did this happen?
Yeah. And we're back. All right.
Spin the globe.
I was gonna say pet the T-Rex.
Okay, here we go.
Pet the T-Rex.
No, spinning the globe is the only thing.
Why?
And we're
Because
back.
it's fun.
So
All
is
right.
petting a
Who's
T-Rex.
So the next up is Warcraft versus Guilty Gear.
Warcraft.
Warcraft.
Do we need to say any reason why?
I've never
Guilty
played
Gear is a
either.
great
we
anime
do
fighter, and I
to-
have a
to
deep
make-
nostalgia for it.
We do in order to make the video longer, but... Warcraft.
I guess.
Congratulations, Warcraft. You
Do you
moved
want to
on.
vote for Guilty Gear?
I don't know enough about
Guilty Gear has really good music and is a very good
It's
fighting
not
game.
bad.
It
It's not bad.
looks really fun.
And
Not
it-
even as good as Street
and
Fighter.
It acknowledges power.
I had
level.
more fun with it than Street Fighter, though, but that
I just realized that Marvel made it farther than Street Fighter.
it shouldn't have.
But it did.
Welcome to the
Welcome
to the Big Ol' Bracket.
Think of that as part of Street Fighter moving on.
No.
I mean, it has some Street Fighter people in
It
it.
has
Okay,
so
the
the
next
next
one's
one
gonna take a minute. Let's talk about it.
Is God of War versus Persona, and the answer is Persona.
The answer is Persona.
The answer is Persona.
The answer is Persona, and I'm gonna tell you why right
All right,
Say
now.
the line. Say your line.
Because Persona 4 is absolutely gay culture. When I was 14, I grew up in a house that was very, very religious and very repressed, and I was gay and in the South, and I played Persona 4,
Dox yourself.
and I got we're not in Alabama anymore.
Oh, now you just told them.
I grew up in Alabama. Who
Queen
fucking
is
cares?
Kanji.
Hold on. 1, 2, 3.
And
And
we're
we're back.
The point is absolutely kanji. Kanji, as a 14-year-old, revolutionized
Whatever.
my entire life. Persona, and going beyond Persona 4 being actually life-changing, Persona 3 FES version is really flawed, but still playable and still good,
And you can have robot sex in that game.
and you can.
Sex robot, sex robot.
And
No,
then your
the,
dick
thing, the
gets
thing
hard.
about
Yeah.
Persona is from a perspective of someone that isn't even gay.
Whoa, yeah, now I ain't gay, but I never kissed a girl.
Kanji.
It's like you were wondering yourself, wait, am I? I
mean,
forgot.
I'm a tiny bit sometimes, but that's not here.
Sometimes.
That's neither here nor there. Kanji hit me, right? Because even if I wasn't personally going through what Kanji went through, I had people in my life that were going through what Kanji went through.
But Kanji didn't go through anything because Kanji was straight the whole time. Remember, the game told you so.
No, that's not what the game
That
told
is
me at all.
That isn't what the game.
The game
told
says
us.
the other me was the real me, straight up.
He didn't come out. This doesn't count.
He
can't-
accepted
Wow.
You don't
Wow,
have
that
to
is
come
some
out to
gay
He
accept
accepted
yourself.
himself for who he was, and that was a big moment. And I think it was a big moment because he didn't go tell all his friends.
No, I
Hey,
agree.
everybody, I'm gay now.
I'm
it
gay,
hit me
Kanji.
so
The
hard.
thing is,
It hit me so hard because in private he said, "Hey, I know who I am, and that's enough." And I don't know.
It was like
I
that
was
coming
kind of
out with his
I
best
did
friend.
some bad things in high school sometimes, and I had some gay friends that I was kind of pushing to come out as gay faster than they wanted to, and that game made me realize, hey, it's okay. They can you can explore who you are on your own pace.
You know, though, if Kanji had just come out to them, then they wouldn't have had to go through that dungeon and fight that really annoying boss.
No matter what, I won't lose! Hold me!
Okay. Here's
So-
what I'm gonna say. If either one of these goes through, I'm not gonna be upset. I love these games
Oh,
both
yeah.
so much. Where I will say, and this isn't. I would say I've had more fun playing a game, playing the God of War games. We talked about before, wanting to play it and having fun playing it are important.
If I had a Vita, I'd have more fun playing.
Hold on.
Golden. But who
We
has
have a
Vita?
PlayStation TV.
Different.
With
I
you
can't
can
lay
play
in bed.
Golden-
I can't lay in bed and lay.
See, I'm the opposite. I want to play it on TV.
when
that.
when I look at Persona 4, like in particular, the game is incredible, but in terms of like gameplay, what you're actually doing, it's mostly just running around, talk to a person, and then a whole bunch of the same turn-based fighting over and over again. And there's nothing against that. There's nothing wrong with
And
that.
even then, as much as I think Persona 4 Golden's a better game, I think Persona 5 does, just strictly speaking, the combat better.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
In terms of Persona 4, the story definitely carries
But
it a
what I was
lot
saying with
further.
and this is true for me for all 4 God of War games. Wait,
7.
how's- 7. Holy shit, I forgot.
yeah,
I forgot
because
the
there's some on the
games.
PSP
And PSP games and Ascension.
I forgot about Ascension.
and Ascension. Yeah, I forgot about that too.
The main 4, what I'll say about those, I've played those more, is I have more fun playing those games in terms of like putting my hands on a controller and doing something.
And
I have more fun
everything
on
and
those.
I think I mentioned this with the last time we brought up God of War here, but I don't.
Yeah,
I go back
I'm
and
the
I
same.
play the older God of War games, and I think they're dated and tedious and hard to play.
But I also say I take all of that and then I add on the new God of War, and not only is the story absolutely incredible, well told, well paced, well acted,
And I feel like-
and across the board, the combat and actually putting my hands on the controller playing is some of the most superb game experience I've ever had in my entire
And
life.
I can't.
Throwing that
God,
axe and calling
I
it back
wish I
over
could,
and over to
I
kill
wish I
something
could
is-
judge it.
I don't
He
do
didn't
that.
do that.
I don't do
He
that.
actually
I
didn't
didn't play
do
that
that.
way.
I'm making a joke.
Yeah.
I wish I had played the new God of War at this point, and I need to, and that's my fault.
I mean, not just for it's not like it's what a good story for a God of War game. It's what an incredible story, so well told and so well done for a video game or a media like vehicle. Period.
What I will
And
say,
I'm trying not to give out spoilers, though people here haven't finished playing.
Yeah,
the
that's a
game.
newer
I
game.
know
Really
you can give out
hard.
spoilers because I know most. Of the
please,
stories.
please.
No.
I don't. I don't know
God.
anything about
But
it.
there's so many things I can say that would sway opinions.
Hey, anyway, I think we should
take
move
a
on.
Yeah,
vote.
we should definitely.
I
take
love
a-
these games both so
Persona,
much.
raise your hand.
Persona.
Persona.
I'm gonna vote Persona 2 because I still love it so much.
What?
There we go.
There should be a bracket
suck.
for
I think
best
you did make.
Persona character.
I think you genuinely did make really good arguments for God of War, and if it was up against
fun.
just about any other
Anything
game,
else?
I think I would have voted for it on that alone.
Yeah, God of War could have gotten a lot farther if it didn't go against Persona because Persona's just incredible. I mean,
I made it through that one and I cried a
I'm
lot.
gonna say one more thing about Persona.
Ooh.
What world in which we exist can you have 2 8-year-old girls throw you in jail and then put people in guillotines and chop their heads off and then call you
Demons,
a fucking loser?
Demons, not people. Demons.
Not people.
Demons.
Hey,
And they call you a fucking
hey,
loser.
You fucking loser! Here's your goddamn demon. Get out of our jail.
I fucking
And,
hate
and
you.
the guillotines don't chop off their heads; they
No.
fuse them together.
Yep. Or you put them in a fucking
Well, I mean,
Iron Maiden.
it does chop off their heads, but then they fuse together.
Hey,
Polymerization.
the next one is Tony Hawk versus Castlevania.
Castlevania.
Rip in peace, Tony Hawk.
I
You
mean,
have
I
really
love
great
you.
soundtracks
I'm
and you're very
sorry,
good.
Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk
You're
3.
so much fun, but you can't hold a candle to fucking Castlevania.
Tony
Tony
Hawk
Hawk's
doesn't
Pro
have bloody
Skater
tears.
3.
Tony
No,
Hawk's
but-
Pro Skater 3 is the first game to get a 10 out of 10 on GameSpot.
No,
Actually, I lied. It was actually Chrono Cross.
Yeah, I was about to say Chrono Cross.
Not even Chrono Trigger.
Nope.
No,
Nope.
Chrono
Not
Trigger.
even Superman by Goldfinger can convince me that
No,
Castlevania
I-
is not the greatest
It's a
game
sad
series of all
version
time.
Superman, you idiot.
He's
It's
just being
because I'm
sad.
being sad about it
He's
losing.
resting.
Playing it on the
Rest in
tiniest
peacing.
trombone because he's sad.
The world's tiniest ska band.
Trumpet.
What's next?
No, and then they went to
The next one is Smash Bros. Versus Resident Evil.
Resident Evil.
Resident Evil.
This one's weird for me.
This one's hard because I've only played Resident Evil 4. And
That's
it's
still
really
shit.
good.
What?
It's really good.
That is the only Resident Evil game you've played.
My
How is that
parents didn't really
possible?
let me play a bunch
Well,
of
Neither
that
did
was-
my
that
parents,
was
but
a-
I had cool cousins.
That was another game that
My
I got
cousins were
introduced to
racist and
'cause-
redneck. They played
So-
modern.
More reason
so
that you
is
should play
Barry
Resident
Burton.
Evil.
They didn't have Resident Evil. They had Tekken.
These were his Tekken cousins.
Tekken
you
is just
see.
the fighting game.
My
of
Tekken
Resident
cousin
Evil.
was
That's
my
not
Resident Evil cousin.
Well, I
but-
didn't get that. Check.
But let's talk about Smash Brothers real quick.
This one's hard.
It's
Melee's
very
pretty
hard.
good.
Okay, here's where I'm
Ultimate
at.
is pretty good.
I'm gonna
Ultimate is
I'm gonna
fine.
I'm gonna let
Ultimate's very
Jacob go
good.
after me since Jacob does love Smash Bros. A whole bunch. I don't love competitive fighting games. I don't have a lot of fun with them. But as a kid, I did play a shit ton of Smash Bros. And had so much fun with it. And I can look at the games objectively and see their importance, their relevance, and their quality. But if I had to pick a game series I would play, given the choice, I would pick Resident Evil almost every single time. And not all of them are super great.
Ooh,
But-
I was about to say the
but the
ratio
ones
to
that
good to
are
bad
good-
Resident
Yes.
Evil games. Name
Yes.
it.
But the really good Resident Evil games are
Are
not just
really,
great.
really
They're some of
good,
the
yeah.
best games of all
Yeah.
time, bar none.
Yes.
And Resident Evil 4 again revolutionized
Resident Evil
third-person
remake,
shooter.
Resident Evil
Okay.
4, Resident Evil 7, and
So,
Resident Evil 2.
with-
Resident Evil 2 remake alone
with
would
Smash
justify
Brothers,
it going
with
forward.
Smash Brothers, bar sans a few examples, is the kind of game where you just play the most recent release. Sans a couple of them.
No,
Sans
Sans
all of
Melee.
them.
Sans Melee. You play Melee and the most recent release.
And 64.
I
Most
played-
people
There's
don't
still-
feel. I
there's
agree.
still a
I
big
no.
64
I agree
following.
with you about 64, but I feel like
In
most
general.
people are kind of done with 64.
I mean, sure.
I
but-
think
but-
most people will agree that you play Melee and the most recent. release.
Sure, but there is a 64 scene.
No, there
that
is. There is
very
absolutely.
interesting, and I will watch that combo contest every year.
Yeah,
Sure.
I don't disagree with
But
that.
I don't think. I think selling the average person on still playing 64 is hard.
Let me talk real quick. Smash Brothers is an art form, and like I said, that art form is the combos that you do.
art form.
Scott, let me fucking finish. You're gonna like where I end up here if you would shut the fuck up. For
You're
once in your
going on a
goddamn
road
life.
trip. An opinionated road
I
trip.
think Smash Brothers, like most fighting games, is a really cool art form turned into a video game because the character combos allows for player expression in a way that a lot of games don't. Devil May Cry would be one of the only other things that I would say allows for player expression the way that fighting games do.
Bayonetta.
But I'd say,
Bayonetta
I'd say
But-
in this list, then,
But with Smash Brothers, it's a level above that, even because it is so freeform. There aren't really true combos. It's about knowing how far your opponent's going to fly, judging where they're going to use their directional influence to go, and reading that, and then doing a combo based on how your opponent moves. The soundtrack's great. The stages are fun, even if they're not all legal, except for walk-off stages.
Soundtrack's all
Walk-off
recycled.
stages. Scott, let me fucking finish. The walk-off stages suck, but Poke-a-Floats alone is a fantastic masterpiece of a stage. That said, Resident Evil wins.
That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
I was gonna say something, I forgot it, but it's not important. Resident Evil wins. 1, 2, 3, Resident Evil.
Resident Evil.
I love Smash Brothers
is
a
fun
lot,
and
but-
great.
I think Smash Bros is a really fun game.
I don't
if you have
condone
about-
sucking real donkey wiener. Let's just make that clear
If
right
you
now.
if you do have a lot of time, go watch the Smash Brothers documentary.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
very
It's really
good.
interesting.
It's very long. There's some
How long is
problematic
it?
language, but
It was made a different time.
well, they
They
also
also
address
it
it.
at one point.
If
which is
Nintendo's
interesting.
listening, please put Chris Redfield into.
No, put
Smash
Leon Kennedy in
Brothers.
Smash
No.
4.
Put Leon
What?
Kennedy
No.
in
5.
Smash 4.
No,
Do you-
Jill.
No,
Six?
Wesker.
Wesker would be great.
Wesker and Smash.
Wesker v.
All right,
Wesker, Final
who's
Destination,
next?
no items.
Ebel, Resident Ebel.
What's our next thing to yell about?
Next is Tails vs Saints Row.
Oh man.
Oh, that's way harder than I thought it would be.
This one's weird.
Oh, that hurts my
weird.
heart.
Saints
I have to go with
Row
Saints Row.
2
Yeah, I'm going
is
with
one of the
Saints
best games in the world.
Oh,
wins.
yeah, Saints
Yeah.
Row.
See, I think Saints Row 3 is one of the.
Oh,
Well,
the
I
most
think
fun
Saints
games.
Row 4 is the
I've
best.
got-
Actually, that's a really good
I've
one,
got a
too.
small story about Saints Row.
Yeah, go ahead.
And just this is something that could never happen in Tales. Obviously, very different genres.
No, I think they're the
I
same.
mean, you could
Oh.
never smack someone with a dildo in
But-
Tails, so it
Just
loses.
realized.
Okay, so one of my favorite memories from like just playing any game in general was in Saints Row 2. and I was playing online with a buddy of mine. And he was like, hey, I got to go walk my dog. Just stand here outside the store and do nothing. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do nothing. So I just kind of sat down, started reading a book. And I just hear this noise, and I look up, and one of the rival gangs just randomly drove up to the store, shot this old lady. Another gang saw it, and just a gang fight erupted outside the store. The third gang drove their car into the store and started robbing it. And my character's just standing there, not being shot at or anything. My roommate comes, or not roommate, but the guy I was playing with comes back, and he's like, what the hell happened? And I'm like, it's Saints Row.
I didn't do anything.
Legitimately with Saints Row as well. A lot of people forget that it is really a fantastic co-op
And-
game.
well, and it-
I
Yeah.
played all of 2 co-op with a friend, and it was a great
I
time.
played it with my brother.
And one
I
thing
I
that
played 3 the whole way through co-op as Macho Man with a Cockney accent.
And one
that's-
thing I think that Saints Row did really well. I know it's not going up against GTA, but
Well, because we all hate
well,
GTA.
yeah.
well, because Tails beat GTA.
yeah, I know that was, but
So
The
if
magic of randomization.
Saints Row had the had this program. It was like an AI program where if nothing was going on, it would randomly trigger events.
Yeah.
It would ensure something was going on, and sometimes those events were stupid as hell. Like this one person would just walk out in the traffic and a gang war erupts. Actually, most of them were gang war related, but it was hilarious.
It is a Saints Row game, so
Well, and Saints Row, like, God, man, I have mixed feelings about 3 because I feel like it leaned into the stupid, but not far enough. But 4, 4 was ridiculous.
See,
and I love that franchise didn't just do 2 over again, because 2 was so good, and I would have
Nah.
accepted 2 over again. But looking back, I'm glad that series went buck fucking wild.
let's take a vote. Saints Row.
The Steam release fucking blows.
But
Don't
Tales of
get it.
Symphonia is great. You should go buy it. It's on Steam. You
It
can
is on Steam,
download a
and it's
texture
actually
pack
good
to
on
make the
Steam.
game better. It doesn't look good normally.
Also, Vesperia is really good.
So,
It just
this
had a
one.
recent release too.
I
Don't
guess
forget
I
about
gotta
that.
This
download
one's
one.
gonna be rough, you guys.
What?
No, I know
How
what you.
long
I
is-
know what you guys are gonna vote for.
Ratchet and Clank versus Mario.
See, I vote Ratchet and Clank.
I do too.
Vote Ratchet and Clank. I thought you turned it off.
Now, see, I thought everyone was gonna vote for Mario, and
I
I'm
mean-
gonna be the only person to vote for Ratchet and Clank. 'Cause I fucking love Ratchet and Clank.
I love Ratchet and Clank too, but I have to go with Mario.
No, I'm going with Ratchet and Clank.
I'm leaning towards Ratchet and Clank. at
I've
the
had
moment.
more fun playing Ratchet and Clank games than I've played Mario games. And I've played a lot of Mario games.
Scoot.
Where are you at,
I
buddy?
don't want to specifically vote for Mario over Ratchet and Clank, but if we're going by,
I think Mario. You know, I'm not even going to talk about it being important because I don't really believe that matters in this
I
conversation.
also
What
think
matters
that-
is that there are more Mario games that I would go back and play today and have fun, whereas Ratchet and Clank, you know, a lot of them are good, but you can play Ratchet and Clank, the movie of the game, and that's really the only one you need to play.
I disagree.
disagree heavily.
I mean, I don't really want to argue for Mario as much because everyone already knows about everything Mario, regardless.
I have played every single Ratchet and Clank game.
I have too.
Twice, except for the two like small like All for One. I'm not gonna play All for One and Full Frontal Assault on the PSP.
I
As
remember-
someone with Italian heritage, Mario is offensive.
It's really not, but
Do the Mario! Swing your arms from side to side. Come on, it's time to go. Do the Mario!
Are you Italian?
Speak for me.
What I will say about
It's not offensive.
I mean,
I mean,
It's a little
it
offensive.
probably is, but it.
the TV
I
show
don't
was.
care.
oh yeah,
Yes.
the TV show.
Hey, paisanos.
I mean, okay, so I'm gonna the thing with Ratchet and Clank is the same thing I was gonna say about Professor Layton is that barring maybe one or I can confidently say this about all of them. They're all 4 out of 5s, every single one of them. Every single one of them is good, but none of them are groundbreaking or incredible.
I would
See,
argue some of the Mario
Whereas
games
Mario,
are
some
twos.
of them are not good, but you look at Mario World, you look at Mario 3, debatably by some people, you look at Mario 1, you look at Mario Yoshi's Island,
Hey.
you look at Mario Sunshine, you look at Mario 64, debatably, you look at Mario Odyssey, you look at even Mario Galaxy 2 to a lot of people.
Don't leave.
Galaxy
Those
games.
games are considered not just by most people, but by me as well, and that's what matters here.
They
Don't
don't.
to be some of the
After all, you did claim
some
this
of
channel.
the best
True.
platforming games ever, and you know what? I would rather go back and play Mario Sunshine than any.
Don't sit there
Ratchet and
and
Clank
ignore Super Mario Brothers 2.
That game's good.
I would rather
Like actually,
I would rather do any of the platforming in any
and that's why Mario wins, boys. Let's move on.
No, Ratchet and Clank
Scott,
fucking
next
wins.
time you do that, you have to stand up and put your butt to the mic and fart in the mic.
Do not do that. To
He
that
didn't know he was
windscreen.
gonna fart. I saw his
Right.
face. He didn't
Those
know.
farts are happening.
That was a good.
They
movie.
quicken.
It wasn't. That movie sucked.
Okay, what I was saying before Scott's fart rudely interrupted me was I would rather play any of the platforming in a Ratchet and Clank game, of which there is a lot.
You have to give us some time, Kyle.
I'm trying to get this shit on track. Get out of Fartville.
Okay, hold on. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in.
Spin the globe.
Don't breathe in, he farted.
Starting it over. I was trying to fix it.
I know, but you can't. Not that way. That's like saying, oh, the fire, put more gas.
No, I was saying hold your breath
Okay.
so that you.
Where are you going?
He's going to shit.
You can't go that way. You can't go that way.
Spin the globe. And we're,
We're back.
Spin the globe. We gotta
So what were you
reset.
saying?
I would rather play the platforming in Ratchet and Clank games, of which there is a lot of platforming, than most Mario platforming across the board.
You know, Ratchet and Clank's platforming without also adding the gunplay kind of.
That's the thing. It's not just one thing. It's the culmination. I'm not putting
it's-
dollars like dollar to dollar. Like it's Mario is a platforming game.
Sure.
Ratchet and Clank is a shooter that has a shitload of platforming.
It's greater
in
than
it.
the sum of its
Yeah,
parts.
Okay.
it all comes together.
I also think the comedy of Ratchet and Clank
It's incredible.
is fantastic. And like Mario, like while the platforming is good, like none of the story matters. And in Ratchet and
There's no
Clank, there's a
story.
continuous story
Yeah.
that like is interesting and evolves the
Well,
characters.
I mean, you know, I would argue, and God, I argued the same thing about Final Fantasy, but like different games, different things. Mario, like at no point is setting out to do that.
No, but I'm saying like having I think that I'm just as likely to pick up a Ratchet and Clank game as I am a Mario game if I am looking to play something that has fun platforming, and I'm probably actually more likely to pick up a Ratchet and Clank game if I just want to have fun.
Yeah.
And then Ratchet and Clank has that story on top of that.
And not just story and like it's fun, like it's extremely inventive. Sure. Like what the games do, like okay, Borderlands has some crazy balls weapons. Ratchet and Clank has some crazy balls weapons. Turn people into chickens, throw out black holes.
Make people dance.
Yeah, the fucking Groovatron is incredible. You can make any boss
The
in the
Rhino
game.
is super fun.
Sounds like
Oh,
we're
yeah.
listing Saints Row.
But
weapons.
the I mean, Saints Row does have that dubstep gun, and we should have mentioned that. But the I mean, the thing with Mario is that on a surface level, you look at what the game's doing, and it's never going to beat Ratchet and Clank on spectacle alone. What Mario offers is incredibly tight platforming consistently, and
You still thinking about the fart?
Yeah, he is.
Action playing game with Mike. Action playing game with Mike. Action playing game with Mike.
In the middle of Scott's really good point.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry.
When
man.
Steve sees you, he just sees your fart.
So my point about Mario is that yes, you look at Mario even back in the day, you could look at Mario and be like, oh, he's lame compared to Sonic because Sonic's cool and moves fast and has all these fun
He
colors.
go fast.
But you actually sat there and you played Sonic versus playing Mario, and you probably had more fun with Mario because
Sure, yeah,
they
I
take
agree.
that time and effort to really think about every little part of the game and make every jump, every run, every section really tight and really fun. Ratchet and Clank, because it is a weapons-based platformer, can cheat a little. It can make sections a little flat. It can make sections a little straightforward because it knows that the most of the fun you're going to be having is coming from experimenting with the weapons. And because of that, they don't have to make things too diverse or complicated. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think it does mean that Mario has a lot more thought put into it.
I disagree with some of that, actually. I think on a macro scale, since Mario is in itself mostly just a platformer, it does put more thought, time, and energy into the platforming, because that's the whole game.
Sure.
But I would say Ratchet and Clank puts as much time, effort, and energy into its weapons and how you play it.
Yeah.
But I also say there are some really challenging platforming and really technical things in a lot of the Ratchet and Clank games that I have died multiple times doing.
But I've also felt like some of those same, but I feel like some of those sections are kind of bullshit.
I've never
I have
felt that
never
way.
I have
I never felt bullshit
I have
about it.
never not never. The Mario games that I have listed as being really great Mario games, I have never felt like I was being cheated or like the game was unfair or poorly designed. And I felt like a few Ratchet games were poorly designed in places, like straight up.
So the only Mario game I've gone back and played consistently is World.
Which is a fucking marvel.
It's fantastic. It's
Yeah.
one of the best games ever made. And I really like Odyssey. I don't see myself going back and playing Odyssey now that I've 100%ed it. I for sure am not going back to either of the Wii games. Like Super Mario Maker, I'll go back to. And Super Mario 3.
But that's different.
Yeah, that's
different.
Maker's
And I know
different.
I'm kind of in a minority here, but Sunshine's the one I always go back to. And granted, 100% of that game kind of sucks. There's way too many coin challenges, but
Ratchet and
that
Clank.
aside, I do love it.
What I will say about Ratchet and Clank's level design is what you said is true. They can do that. I feel like they rarely do, though. I feel like they rarely actually don't think about the level because the
They
design
do really, really well.
the
yeah.
design is really detailed in a lot of interesting ways. In that, like,
Yes. Mhm.
No, it fucking is.
they have a lot of hidden things.
Yeah, no, they do. That's true.
We're
And
back.
We're back.
Level
So,
design.
Ratchet and Clank has a lot of really cool hidden items in their map, which is a nice little touch for people that are exploring. And I feel like enemy placement and which enemies specifically are placed where is super important for any type of gun game.
Yeah.
Whereas Mario, it can be like, throw a Koopa there, throw a Goomba there, like all their enemies walk forward. Like that's all they do. There are variants,
Hammer
but
Bros.
cool. So they stand there and they throw things,
Yeah,
and
but
then they
that's
jump
not-
up, and then
that's
they.
not
But I
throw
would,
things.
argue that's basically just the 2D Mario games, and I'm not even arguing that the more modern 2D Mario games are even good.
Well, but what I'm saying is that like, I feel like what you're saying is that what I'm trying to get at here is what Ratchet and Clank sometimes lacks in like interesting platforming.
Sure.
They
make up
for
with
in
enemy
interesting
placement.
encounters
Sure.
with enemies.
You
I'm
can
gonna
shoot a
save-
disco ball and bosses fight and the shop kiosks fight.
But that is a thing that with Ratchet
Or
and Clank
dance,
is
rather.
once you figure out what the best weapons are, you just spam those weapons
Nope.
and win for
Or
free.
you just
Actually,
Except I actually just do.
But that's
that's
not-
fine, but that's not what I do, and that's not what Kyle does. and
leveling
that's-
weapons,
like,
yeah, I
leveling
level them all
weapons is
up.
the whole point. It's what's super fun about that game is grinding those weapons.
And
out
I
and seeing the
agree.
new
I
changes.
agree. But
I'm gonna save
any
my
single
arguments
Ratchet and
for the
Clank
next
game,
round.
any single Ratchet and Clank game, once I've realized what the best weapons are, the game isn't challenging anymore.
I don't
But
think there's
they're
any
not going
one
for
best weapon.
challenge.
Honestly, I don't think there's a best weapon.
Yeah.
in
It's
the-
whatever you level
Whether
up
it's
first
it's
is
the
what is the best
the
weapon.
Rhino or the Harbinger, like the nuke everything weapons that take forever to get. Those are obviously the best weapons because they kill everything.
Once again,
But it's
I'm
so hard
not
to get.
dogging on Ratchet and Clank. I'm making it sound like I hate Ratchet and Clank. I fucking love Ratchet and Clank. It's some of my favorite games.
Let's take a vote.
I just think
Ratchet and
Mario's
Ratchet
better.
and Clank. Mario? Ratchet and Clank it is.
That's why I didn't argue too much because they already had it covered.
I'm saving some arguments for later because I have some more things about level design in Ratchet and Clank.
I also think
I had some more things about level design in Mario, but y'all fuckers are too stubborn.
I'm not. You know I can be swayed.
Oh yeah,
Next up,
You gonna make that voice every time you lose?
are you gonna be mad at one of
It's
these?
Metroid versus Tekken.
You threw a fucking tantrum when Yakuza got voted out.
I was fine with Yakuza losing. I just had a very specific thing that I wanted to
Alright,
say.
what do you want to say about it?
I don't remember because Kyle interrupted me too many times.
And that's the
What's the
nature
Yakuza-
of big old
I'm
bracket.
about to finish Yakuza 6 and it's amazing.
All right, Metro versus Tekken. I don't care.
Metroid is
Tekken.
my pick. Metroid is fantastic.
Where are you
Metroid
guys at?
has.
Hold on. Where are you guys at?
I'm Tekken right now.
I'm right now Tekken, but that's only because
Is that
I've
3 Tekkens
played.
or 2 Tekkens?
That's 3 Tekken.
I've played a lot of
What are you
Tekken, and I
doing?
haven't played
Undecided.
Metroid.
The thing about Metroid is that the importance and quality of Super Metroid cannot be understated.
Like if we didn't have
Super
Metroid, we
Metroid-
wouldn't have a bunch of my favorite games.
Super Metroid is fucking great.
It's
Not just great, it might be the best game ever. I don't personally believe it is, but a good case could be made for it being the greatest game ever.
But here's a question, Scott. Do you believe it is the second or third best game ever?
No.
If not the first or second?
I don't. I do not believe
Not
it.
for
Really?
you.
No.
That's
but
interesting.
I think it's a great game. And I think it's the only truly great game in that franchise.
Even Metroid Prime Fusion.
That's not a game.
I think Metroid Fusion and
I thought
Metroid
it-
Zero
oh,
Mission.
Metroid.
I think Metroid Fusion and Metroid Zero Mission are both really, really good games. I like them.
I meant to.
And I
I'm
think
so
I
dumb.
said this before, but I think all the Prime games are really flawed and don't hold up super duper well. But Super Metroid's incredible. But even though we did that with Devil May Cry and Persona, you cannot. One great game does not
Even though
amazing
we did
series
that for
make.
these other arguments, you can't do it now.
No, because the thing is that
Welcome to the big old bracket where the rules are made up and the games don't matter.
straight up, Super Metroid would win. Super Metroid by itself would win against other things, but I think Tekken is.
That's actually a really, really interesting point to bring up. Is that it's like if you were to stack Super Metroid up against any Tekken game, I would say Super Metroid is a
But
better
Tekken
game.
is consistently.
But if you put them all together,
at
it
the
does
point in
change.
time
I
they
would
were
say-
made, some of the there's a reason that Virtua Fighter and Dead or Alive are not doing as hot now, and that's because Tekken is just that fucking good.
I would argue that with Metroid, Super Metroid Fusion and Zero Mission can stack up against the Tekken games. In fact, I will go so far as to say, this is coming from someone who is not a big fan of Tekken. I like watching it occasionally, but I'm not a big fan of it. I think that, and this is from the research I've done, so it could be wrong, but I believe you said earlier that all of the characters are very similar and very similarly balanced, and that's why every character is viable.
Yes, sure.
And I think in a fighting game, while that's cool that everyone's kind of balanced, the fact that they are all the same, the only difference is like some slight animation changes, and like
it
the
goes
aesthetic.
further
It's
than
not
that.
quite as simple as that, but yes, I see what you're saying.
It
But
makes
at
it
that-
less interesting.
Yes, but at that point, it's because everything is so balanced. Even if it does mean that they're mechanically similar, it allows for
skill.
more self-expression.
Yeah.
I would
And you can
also-
actually viably play the character that you care about, as proven by Panda in Tekken 6 winning a fucking Capcom Cup. Not Capcom
Nope,
Cup.
nope, not
That's
at all.
not the wrong
not
thing.
at all. It won E-League.
E-League.
Tekken E-League.
I said
believe is what it
Capcom
was.
Cup, and then halfway through, I'm like, I fucked up this point
Hey,
so
like
bad.
me saying Prime Fusion.
Yes. You know what? I if other people don't feel strongly about Metroid, I'm okay with it going, simply because I am arguing for one game when it is best
well,
franchise.
That's where I'm at.
That's where I'm at, yeah.
I feel really strongly about Super Metroid. I cannot talk in any way passionately about any other Metroid
I love
game.
Metroid Fusion. For a long time, Metroid Fusion was my favorite Metroid game, and I was wrong. Metroid Fusion does a lot of really interesting things in terms of like so Metroid is famous for like taking all your powers away at the beginning. Metroid Fusion kind of did at first. And not only does it take your powers away, it takes like your entire look away. It takes your whole suit away more or less. And the game does a really good job making you feel really scared and powerless. And there's the SAX, which takes the form of the original Samus, what you used to look like, and it is invincible and impossible to kill for the majority of the game. You have to hide, you have to run. It's a scary game, and I played it when I was a kid, and it really stuck with me. And there's some parts of it that don't work. There's some parts of it that are badly designed. But Metroid Fusion, I think, gets a lot of hate, and I think on atmosphere and narrative through gameplay alone should be a game that's looked at and talked about.
I want to say two more things, and that is the look of Metroid, specifically like Super Metroid, Metroid Fusion, and Zero Mission. Like, all those games look fantastic. Like,
And all very different.
on their consoles, they're some of the best looking games.
Like Zero Mission has that like kind of watercolor,
Yeah.
like paint, it doesn't. It's not going for realism. It's trying to look very kind of like someone
Stylized, kind of.
drew a Metroid painting.
Yeah, and then
Drew a painting isn't what you know what I mean though.
Fusion is like a neon
Yeah.
futuristic
Yeah.
Metroid. It's like Super Metroid.
I mean, because you're
And
all on a
then
big space station.
Super
yeah.
Metroid's just fucking gorgeous. Like, for its time especially, it's just gorgeous. And then the other thing I want to point out is just how important Metroid was in terms of like
It's fucking Metroid. You don't.
No,
Yeah,
no,
we
no,
all
no,
know
no,
it's
no, no,
important.
Not for any particular reason other than it's one of the first women in video games that is
sure.
like the women characters that is actually empowered and not like sexed up. Other than when
She
Zero
wears a-
Suit
Other than when
Bikini
she is
happens.
sexed up, but yeah.
But like in Super Metroid,
Sure.
in Super Metroid, like
Yeah.
she's not. She's like the reveal that most players will get if they're not really great at the game is she takes her helmet off, right?
Or
Like,
when she dies, she's like her suit explodes and
Yeah.
you see that, oh, it's a lady.
but like she's capable. She's just really strong.
But actually, she just cares about babies and needs a man's permission to do things.
God.
Metroid Other M.
yeah, fuck that. Fuck that game. You know what? Other M exists, so Tekken moves on.
All right, Tekken.
Super Metroid would, if
Has
this was
beaten any
just
Tekken
straight
game.
up best game though, would have made it. This was like Tekken 3 versus Super
That's
Metroid,
really
Super
sad.
Metroid.
All right, what is it? Oh, he drew another heart. It's like his little notebook in like in middle school.
God, I wish Jacob had gone to high
Jacob
school because Jacob would have been
Marina
so good at
Metroid.
high school.
Oh my god.
Mr.
I would've been
Jacob
so good at
He
high
would have been
school.
so good at high
Yeah.
school.
I drew 3 hearts around that one.
So good at
So
high
what's
school.
next?
Halo versus Uncharted.
Halo.
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 I
Hey,
have
hello. Hey, hello.
I have way more
Halo.
fun memories of being called a. I almost said it, and I
Please
can
don't.
say it, but I'm
please
not
don't.
gonna.
But please
I was
don't.
called a bunch
A
of bad
fr-
words on Xbox Live, and I was like,
A fresh
"Fuck
fruit
yeah,
boy?
Something like that.
A friggin' cool guy.
Nope, I was never called that.
A
Because I was
frag
bad at
grenade?
Halo, and I got called a lot of
I
things.
used
But
to
man, I
say
had
The
fun.
frag hero.
when I was a kid, I used to say some bad things in Halo, and then one day I heard
True.
myself say something out loud, and I was like, "Wow, why do I shouldn't? That's horrible. Why have I been saying that? I'm not going to say that anymore."
See,
All
Halo,
right.
Halo's such a great franchise that it made us realize how terrible we were when we were younger.
Thank
Right.
you,
Yeah.
Halo,
Halo.
and
Halo.
Bungie and Microsoft by extension.
As someone that was homeschooled, Halo introduced me to most of my friend group in middle and high
Oh,
school.
you know, I never thought about if you're homeschooled and don't have interaction with other kids your age, and you don't hear that kind of language, you jumped onto Halo Online. You went, oh, I didn't know these words even existed.
I mean, I knew they existed.
I've seen
but I
these
didn't-
works. I've seen these words in my books before. I
I
didn't know how they were pronounced.
Give me your fucking money!
People never said them before. This is incredible. It's like science. Let me turn Jacob into a weird homeschool kid. sitting in his room with one light on. Oh, my books tell me this is how people talk to
I'm
each
wearing
other.
a punk vest right now.
You did a lot of growing up in a really short amount of
I
time.
did.
You did.
Listen, we're not going to talk about old Jacob.
I met old Jacob.
You didn't meet old Jacob. You met a particular part of growing up, Jacob.
I met prepubescent Jacob.
Anyway, Halo moves
You
on.
met
What's
stock
next?
it, Jacob.
Halo moves
the
on.
end of-
Halo
What's
that's the
next?
end of the. That's the end of this bracket.
That's the end of
Okay.
this episode.
Yeah.
Sweet
Do we have
16.
anything we want to say about Uncharted and Memoriam?
No, I've got to pee.
Uncharted 4 is very good.
Yep,
Rest in
sure
peace,
is.
Nolan North.
Uncharted 2 is very good.
Rip Nolan North.
Rip
That's
Nolan
all
North.
I think.
Who
Wait,
knows?
hold on. Straight. Did Nolan North die?
No.
No.
Okay. I was just making sure.
He went north for the winter.
I'm gonna go pee.
Okay, Kyle, spin the globe.
And we're back.
Warcraft versus Halo. This is actually
Halo.
a tough one.
Halo.
Halo.
Well, fuck me, I guess.
I'd
say Warcraft all day, every day.
I am partial to
If
Warcraft.
Halo's
Halo
more
wins this,
fun.
I'm gonna fucking kill myself.
Then you should
Yeah.
probably vote for Warcraft.
Yeah.
If Warcraft wins, I'm gonna fucking explode. So Halo.
You're just
I
bitter
just
that
feel like
Warcraft
Halo's
beat
more
your
fun.
game.
My thing,
Yeah, I am, Jacob.
and like
That's
once again,
not
all right. So like I
a
don't,
fun
I
bracket.
fuck.
Yes, it
This
is.
is the best game franchise, and Warcraft has 2 really good games with a lot of expansions.
Hold on.
That were
You-
genre-defining
You-
expansions.
I will give it to you calling Frozen Throne just an expansion. You can't call the expansions for WoW just expansions.
I know, and you're right.
Because it makes the
You
game.
are
That's why
right.
it's still
no,
here now.
I understand that, and you're right. But
Look at Classic WoW and look at Battle for Azeroth WoW. There's a reason that they're finally releasing Classic WoW.
no, I understand that they are legitimately different. But I can't, in good conscience, vote for a game that, if honestly, in my opinion, effectively has 2 games as best game franchise.
But
Has
it's-
2 great games.
Okay, I don't look at the expansions in Warcraft
Because a
as-
lot of the
hold on.
expansions in Warcraft aren't good. Let's
I-
take that into account too. A lot of them are not
There
good.
are 2 that aren't good.
I do not consider them just expansions. If WoW was not an MMO online, each one of those would be
A standalone
a
thing.
standalone game.
Okay, then let's go back to Final Fantasy because Final Fantasy 11 and 14 have a lot of expansions.
But we
But-
can't because Final Fantasy's gone. So it
Al-
doesn't matter.
also,
There's also more. There's lots of games. Like, okay, so Final Fantasy kept releasing games, and then they had 2 MMOs, and they released expansions for those.
yes.
WoW after 3 went, let's do an MMO,
And
they-
only focus on the MMO.
and every single expansion is essentially a WoW 1, 2, 3,
And let's
4.
be-
The
let's
same can be
let's be
said for
clear.
Final Fantasy's
Let-
MMOs.
let's
I'm
be-
not saying that
let's-
that's incorrect.
Let's be clear
That's
about
just how
the MMO.
MMOs work.
Let's
They
be clear,
evolve
let's
and
be
grow
clear
over
about
time.
this MMO thing. With World of Warcraft, no one dislikes the story that things are telling. They dislike the end game raids, which is
Some
is
people
completely
dislike
different.
pieces of the story.
Sure,
Some people were
there
really
are
angry about
issues.
Cataclysm and the most recent one in particular, story-wise.
I think Cataclysm was
Sure.
really, really smart thing for them to do.
Yes, but like actually, from a story perspective, Cataclysm is very interesting.
It's amazing.
Because it's Deathwing. It's one of the biggest dragons in World of Warcraft, and dragons are a major thing in World of Warcraft lore. Like the dragon aspects are super big. So Cataclysm was very interesting, and Battle for Azeroth, I think, depending on how they continue telling the story, could be very interesting, or it could be a very bad misstep.
And my thing, and like this is once again, sometimes it's personal, sometimes it's you got to think objectively. This is personally, Warcraft defined my childhood and gaming for me for years. Warcraft and Diablo, both of those games, I played religiously.
But same can be said for Halo for so many people.
Sure, same for me. In fact,
I'm saying, in comparison to Halo, I honestly, as some people said before, will my life be different or life be changed?
Sure.
My life wouldn't be any different had I never played Halo. Nothing would be different for me. But having never played Warcraft, like that name, that title, I wouldn't be into video games like I am now. I probably wouldn't think the same thing about video games now. I wouldn't be as smart as I am now. Honestly, that might sound like cheap and dumb, but an RTS is a real-time strategy game that makes you think and makes you think critically and makes you think really smartly. And I had to do that in those games as a young person, like a very young person. And I think it says a lot about a game that came out in, like, Warcraft 3 in particular, that came out in 2002, that still has an online community that is as robust as it is, that you can still get on that, and people are still playing custom-made games and making custom games from a game that came out 17 years ago.
not only that, but they are still updating it for competitive
Yes,
play.
people- they're still supporting
it. Got
it.
so popular again that the developers had to start
They've re-released it as digital, so anyone can play it on any
and not only
computer.
that, but they restarted development for it.
Yeah, and they are now making an HD remix, quote unquote, of Warcraft 3 because for 17 years people are still playing that game into the ground. Halo games, I think a lot of people have played them. Other than Reach last year, when's the last time you actually played a Halo game?
My argument against Halo also is there is a definitive split. There is Bungie and there's post Bungie.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Halo
Post-Bungie-
4 was fine. Halo 5 wasn't very good.
And I don't think Halo 6 is going to be any good. I don't think any game after Bungie has much of a chance of being good because they're trying to be something not Halo. And
I don't think that inherently makes it bad.
And if
But,
Well,
you
to
know,
be fair, Bungie also did ODST.
it's
that's
not
a good game.
No, it's not.
You're
that's
just wrong.
That's
It just has
the,
good music.
The
It's a
issue.
fun game.
It
I
has
mean,
Nathan
the
Fillion.
issue isn't that they're not being Halo. The issue is that they're being Mass Effect now. Like the Halo's new story is basically Mass Effect, and it's stupid.
And with Warcraft, if we're gonna talk about also define like doing different things and changing things, to go from being like the people that made
Sure.
the like two biggest Warcraft and Starcraft
To being the biggest MMO.
To being the biggest
M-
shooter.
MMO ever is absolutely insane, and they did both so well. And when I talk about franchise, I also want to talk about the company that made the franchise. We've talked a lot of shit about Konami. I have nothing but good things to say about Blizzard in almost every
I
respect.
have mostly nothing. There's a handful of
There's-
things, but
there's
they're
a
pretty
handful of
limited.
things.
They're pretty
but
limited.
but other than that, I don't have a pro. I love what they do
At
and what
the-
they're doing, and the love time and energy they put into a game. They rarely ever just go, here's this thing we just churned out or shoved out. They give time, energy, and commitment to
They
everything.
learned from Blackthorn.
So what I mean honestly what I will say though is, for me personally, I can't get over the fact that I only care about effectively 2 of the games in the franchise. That isn't enough
Well,
for
so
it to
you
be the
you-
best game franchise.
So for you, you're getting hung up on a semantic.
I care about
We
Warcraft
have
3.
every
no,
right
not,
to vote
no,
that way
I care
for
about
that.
I care about Warcraft 3, and I care about Burning Crusade WoW, and that's literally all I care about.
I don't care about any Warcraft games because I didn't play them, and I can absolutely
and
vote that way.
I cannot vote for. I just can't vote for a franchise
Sure,
that I
but-
only
but
know.
also-
I only care about 2 of the games.
I'm going to talk to Tim's real quick because Tim's, I realize you are upset that Persona lost to Warcraft, but also while you are, it is valid for you to vote that way. I would ask that you listen to the arguments because Kyle is making some really good arguments for Warcraft, and I think you're just kind of like,
Because-
I haven't played it, so I don't
Okay,
care.
so here's the thing.
Like,
Because
that-
when I
you
went,
have
well,
to-
because
myself.
it's similarly Persona, I would have voted forward on the strength of 2 or 3 games. But we're at the end now, and Halo has
3 games.
several. No, it has 4 or 5 if you like ODST or not. Really, really good games. really, really good games that defined
I would
shooters
say-
and entire childhoods, honestly.
Here.
And with Warcraft, depending on how much you like WoW, your mileage may vary, but I feel like most people love Warcraft 3 and like a specific variant of WoW. And that's kind of where I stand with it.
I liked WoW, and I think I can speak for a lot of people because not a lot of people. I can speak for people that think like me. At least from my experience, I've seen people liked classic WoW up through Wrath of the Lich King.
That's why I said your mileage may vary. Some people like multiple versions of WoW.
And then when they gave Mist of Pandaria a chance, they liked Mist of Pandaria, and then they liked Legion. Those are the specific time frames in WoW that I found that people liked the most.
But at the end of the day, we're not talking about other people. We're talking about what we are choosing.
I mean, Warcraft's not gonna go forward. They're voting for Halo. I get it. It's cool. It's not cool. It's awful and terrible, but it's just fine.
I mean, I'm fine. I like Halo. I just think Warcraft is a better
Yes,
franchise.
I do too.
I feel like
Warcraft has less
the main
bad
reason
games
that,
than Halo does.
the main reason that I would be voting Halo over Warcraft is because I have more experience with Halo. I've had genuinely more fun when I've played Halo over the times I've played
That's
like
valid.
Warcraft 3 and WoW. But either way, you got to acknowledge both of these franchises are really, really good regardless.
I mean, sure. That's
Yeah.
why they're here.
It's
right?
it's a really hard decision, honestly, for just like 5 of us.
You
What do you
decide.
think?
No.
You decide. The big old
Like, I actually don't give a shit about Warcraft, but
That's
I do.
fi-
But like,
that's fine.
I can vote in Halo's favor as well because I do have memories of
Yeah.
playing Halo.
And like to a
And that's
degree,
what
like
I'm asking.
I'm
is, like,
not
are you-
asking
were you
anyone.
voting it out of like
Because, like, if you
when
don't
when
know anything
when I
about a
made
game, you
mention
can't
of
vote
that,
for it.
like
You can.
I was just asking if you had given Kyle's
argument.
arguments a thought as opposed to voting for it out of anger that Persona
I
lost. 'cause-
understand how important Warcraft is because it has like a lot of the stuff on this list. Let me get closer. It has like a lot of games on this list. It has made a very big cultural impact, and everybody knows what World of Warcraft is, but everybody knows what Halo is, and everybody knows what Pokemon is.
I'm not talking about just like cultural impact. I'm just talking about the mechanics of the game
No,
and how
and-
it's still play. The thing is, like, I think with a game like Halo and other console games like that, they need to churn out. They need to churn out as many copies and different number versions and different sequels as they can to keep making money. That's what they have to do, right?
I mean,
Blizzard-
not so much with Halo.
And
but-
again, no, the
no,
argument
no,
I make
no.
in Halo is it didn't do that until 4 and 5.
But with Blizzard and with Warcraft in particular, what they do is instead of releasing shitloads of games, they release more content for a game they've already perfected and that works to update it, make it better, make it stronger. Overwatch is the perfect example of that, another Blizzard game. You buy that game one time, it's just one game. But they've been releasing content for so long. There's so many new things to
And which is why I think if we were talking best game companies, I think Blizzard very well could win.
I'm not talking about just their practice as a company. I'm talking about the reason Warcraft is Warcraft 3 and Frozen Throne, and then WoW is the two things we're talking about the most. And while you can look at those as two games, the way the company structured the games, it's not two games. They made it in such a way, they made a base that works, is extremely polished, and functions extremely well. Instead of making World of Warcraft 3, World of Warcraft 4, they went, let's figure out how to add pieces on and fix the things we've already done to make
And
it bigger,
sometimes
stronger,
break.
and better.
Sometimes break and make them worse, but
Every game patches things
Yes.
and things get fucked up.
yes,
It happens in
absolutely.
every
But
video
like,
game.
I acknowledge that the process isn't perfect. Like they do make missteps, but in general, they are moving forward and willing to fix the missteps as well.
I would say
Does any-
over time, I think Warcraft has proven itself to have more staying power, more quality, more polish, and more heart and energy and like time given to it than the Halo series as a whole.
Halo defined the aughts. I don't think it'll ever define another decade, though.
That's true. We should take a vote.
Yeah.
Anyone else have anything to say?
Not really.
Halo. Warcraft.
Wow.
Oh,
That last thing that Scott said kind of got me.
Oh, fuck
I'm
I don't feel
genuinely
great.
Very
surprised
surprised.
that
I don't
happened.
feel great about that, but
All right, flip it over.
Okay, so it's Warcraft versus Pokemon.
And it's
Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Warcraft.
Pokemon, no argument. It has to stand for itself. We all know
whoa,
it.
Whoa, Warcraft. It's a
Okay,
whoa,
because
whoa,
I'm gonna
Warcraft.
back up what I said, and I'm gonna double it for Pokemon because with fucking Warcraft, I mean with fucking Halo, it's are 2 to 5 games depending on how you feel about it that are really really great. Pokemon is a huge franchise and
It's
has
gigantic.
not just defined the 90s, but defined the aughts and has defined the teens,
Teens,
and will
define
define
the
the 20s
20s.
and will define the 30s. Pokemon
It'll never die.
Ain't going fucking
They have a
anywhere.
movie with a Ryan Reynolds coming out.
And I talked some shit about Pokemon's unwillingness to change, and I still
Sure.
think that's a problem with
I do
it.
too.
Kyle, Warcraft could have won if you voted Metal Gear up.
But I think that
This is your fault.
Warcraft would have beat Metal Gear.
I think that on the
Look what you
so
did.
I talked shit about its unwillingness to change, but on the other side of that argument,
It's unwilling.
it is the same thing, right? It's like World of Warcraft, where in every iteration, rather than making a drastically new thing, they are adding on and perfecting something that was already great and making little tweaks. And
Except the most recent iteration did the most recent 2
Oh,
iterations
God.
fucked it up so bad that I didn't want to play Pokemon.
I don't think they fucked it up. I
You
think
didn't like Sun?
for-
I didn't
for-
like Sun, Moon, or Let's Go Pikachu.
Tim's-
I mean, I didn't play Let's Go. I liked Sun.
I didn't like.
Did you finish it?
I didn't finish it because it was a
Also-
little too easy, but I still really had
my
a
point being,
I
that-
thought
I
I
had
thought
a really
Let's Go
great
was
time.
Let's
And
Go
then
was bad. I had a
let-
terrible time the whole time.
like I had a great time
But I
playing
think
through
I
Sun.
think or
I
I
hated
didn't
my
you know
time
there
with
there are
it.
Pokemons I don't love. I don't like Diamond and Pearl. I don't like Oraz. I don't love Sun and Moon, even though I think they're pretty good. But I never dislike Pokemon because of the mechanics. I dislike Pokemon because of the trappings.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Any Pokemon game I don't have a good time with, it's not because the mechanics aren't set. The mechanics are great and have been great
They
forever.
got that figured out.
That's why they haven't changed, because they work so well.
And I would love to see them take a chance. I would love to see it change, and maybe
What-
it will one day. But as it stands, what we have is really good.
What is nice though is we do have. This isn't a part of the bracket, but we do have those chances being taken. A lot of fan-made ROMs of
Yeah.
Pokemon.
God, play a
like
fucking
Pokemon,
And-
like,
and-
like
any hacked-
Radioactive is just.
It's
But-
just so
the,
fun.
And the
Let
past
me-
couple of Pokemon
we shouldn't
releases,
talk about fan-made ROMs because we don't do that.
and the
I mean, I don't make 'em.
we don't play them
The
either,
past
'cause
couple
that
of
would
Pokemon
require
games have
pirating.
been a bit of a letdown for me, but the fact
don't do
that
that.
for the 20 years leading up to the past couple of Pokemon games, I played every single one of them a fucking lot and loved my time with all of them.
I would say most people.
Other
want-
than Diamond
I
and
would
Pearl.
say most gamers, casual to even maybe intense gamers, have put more time into Pokemon games than any other video game that they've played. I'd say a lot. I think a lot of people probably have, because there's just it's a, and I'm not this. I'm singing the praise of Pokemon 'cause I do love Pokemon. I like Warcraft more, but there is something to be said for Pokemon that it is a game. Even if you've beat the game, it doesn't ever stop because there's always more things that you can keep doing. It doesn't really end at any point. Even when you get your whole team, perfect team, level 100, there's still shit you can do. You can you can breed, hatch eggs, try to get really deep into the data mining of trying to get the perfect like nature and all that kind of shit. There's something to be said about that much content in a game that was started on a fucking Game Boy.
Okay, but hear me out. How much more interesting would the end of our bracket be if Warcraft won?
Warcraft's awesome, and I want it to win. I prefer it over
Listen,
Pokemon.
I don't
But
feel.
I don't think that makes the bracket more interesting. I think both of them are fairly obvious choices.
I
made
did
a
not.
joke.
I did
did
not.
not think Warcraft
Warcraft's
would
gonna
be
get this
anywhere
far.
near this close.
God, not even anywhere.
I thought it was
close.
losing to Souls.
I didn't think it was gonna get anywhere this far.
I thought it was gonna lose to Souls first round.
Really?
Yeah. Because I think Kyle did too. Because you went, oh fuck.
I didn't see Warcraft getting anywhere.
I think
Oh my
Souls
god,
is-
I lost everything in this.
I've lost everything!
Everyone
So did
did.
I.
Every single thing.
I don't think anyone's happy about Pokemon. They're only
no,
they are
I'm
happy
not.
about
I'm
Warcraft.
happy about Pokemon.
Well,
I'm
maybe
not.
you
I
should.
lost everything before you.
Pokemon
You
is
had Warcraft.
Pokemon is the most
That's not my- that was
vanilla
not my
ice
picks.
cream white
That was
bread
Kyle's
with
pick.
mayonnaise thing it could have been.
Zelda's the most vanilla.
Zelda.
Okay, but
Mario's
we should
more
we
vanilla.
should end it up.
Kirby's
Hey,
more vanilla.
No, I don't.
I
Think
thought
so.
Kirby was gonna win
Mario.
this.
That'd been
In
really cool.
in the end,
No, it wouldn't have. That would have
final
sucked.
vote. Pokemon, raise your hand.
Warcraft. I have two hands, so
We've got 4 votes. We win.
no, you already voted.
You voted for Warcraft.
Yes!
You voted
Yes!
for Warcraft. He switched.
Six.
We win.
All right, sit back down real quick.
Oh
Yeah.
wait, I forgot.
No,
the
yeah. So Pokemon wins.
So
That's kind of boring.
Let's do a.
But it's fine.
Let's
That's
do. Well,
how this happens.
We have found. Steve hasn't done.
I do not think that Pokemon is the least offensive answer to what could have won. I think
It's
there are
close,
many
though.
more lame answers
Well,
than
see-
Pokemon.
For sure.
Well, no, we found through doing a lot of these brackets. What happens is, the thing that tends to win isn't the best or craziest or goodest or whatever. It is generally the most least offensive thing that somehow squeaks its way
but
through.
I take it
that's
back.
the thing.
Warcraft wins.
No.
fucking
Too
late, Scott.
It's too late. We voted.
No, and hear me out. Hear
So
me out.
does the thumbnail say Warcraft wins?
You should just put.
No, you know what? Fuck it.
Question mark?
Warcraft wins because the two games that they are good in the franchise are two of the greatest games ever, and Pokemon's games are all pretty good.
It's a shame you
I'm
already
pretty
You
sure
keep
you
voted.
flipping
just-
back and
I'm
forth
pretty
with
sure-
this argument.
Wait, yeah,
Scott.
you just
Pick
made the
fucking
same
one of
argument
them.
for why it was great.
No, Pokemon wins. We've already got it fucking written down.
That's
so-
the competitor.
The
It's
thing
on the
is,
other
the
side,
thing
too.
is, the thing is about it is, I'm not gonna be satisfied with any of this because Castlevania didn't win.
So what we found is it's generally the most least offensive thing, right?
Yeah,
it-
but
it-
it's interesting how to get there is the thing.
Yeah, but I mean,
And
like,
how it consistently ends up being the most least offensive
well,
thing.
and like Scott said is like there's more least offensive things. I really think Pokemon,
Also, Pokemon had a hard bracket, I will say.
Pokemon, Mario, or Zelda. If any of those three would have got up there, it would have been like, well, of fucking course they did. I mean, it was just.
I think
a
we had.
given.
I think we had some interesting.
Yeah, I'm
stuff
actually
happen.
proud of Final Fantasy for beating Zelda first round.
Yeah,
I'm
that
upset
was.
about that, but
That's crazy to me.
hey,
who wants to read their cards?
we're gonna start with Scott. Who do you think was gonna win, and who do you want to win?
That should win was Castlevania.
And what did you think was going to
I originally wrote down Pokemon, but then I crossed it out and wrote out Kirby. So I was sort of right.
I wrote down that I wanted Ratchet and Clank to win, and
It
boy,
came close.
God, it was so close. It would have been awesome. Warcraft versus Ratchet and Clank would have been dope. Warcraft. And I thought, because I thought I was with a whole bunch of basic white girls, that Zelda was gonna win. But I was
Well,
I
you
was
were just
wrong.
No,
wrong
be
about
better than that.
I
We've
just
had conversations before about
I,
Zelda's
no,
kind
no,
of
I
overrated.
agree. But generally, when I think of
So-
people going best video games ever, everyone's always like Zelda, and I'm like,
So
fuck.
my heart was with Fire Emblem.
Oh well, sure. I think we all picked our favorite.
My brain was
I
with
didn't
Metal
pick my
Gear.
favorite. I picked the one I legitimately thought was the best, which is Castlevania.
I thought Metal Gear was gonna win this, and
Sure.
it came
I'm
close.
surprised
did.
you thought it was going to win.
Also,
I'm surprised that you voted for it every single time.
yeah. Well,
did,
so
you didn't
here's the thing. Here's the thing. I didn't vote for it against Animal Crossing.
Oh,
that's
I will
right.
have it be known.
You know, Animal Crossing better than what is all the things that Metal Gear beat?
Animal Crossing, Unreal Tournament, Soul Calibur, Final Fantasy.
Animal Crossing better than Unreal Tournament, Soul Calibur, and Final
That's not
Fantasy.
how
Jacob
this
yeah,
works.
Marina.
yeah,
That's not how
exactly.
this
You figured
works.
it out, Scott.
No, the thing is, the reason I thought Metal Gear was gonna win, is because when I thought about it, I personally have problems with a lot of those games, but I can't think of a negative about them as a whole, like the franchise as a whole.
Sure.
It is consistent. They consistently try new things. They're all very much their own game. They tell a narrative that, while I don't appreciate it, is very interesting to a lot of people. And like Metal Gear Solid 5 is one of the most game-ass video games.
I mean, it's one of the most finely crafted gameplay systems
Yeah,
I've ever
it's
seen
the best
ever.
open world game ever made, currently.
Is it better than Breath of the Wild? Because I want to hear you say it. I want you to hear you say that Metal Gear Solid 5 is better than Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
That would be the only one that I would have hard time
Fucking
with.
say it.
I think they do different things. I think I appreciate
One's
what
got
Breath of the Wild
trolls,
does, and I think
one's got
in general
fans.
people no, that's simplifying it way too much. But I really do like Metal Gear 5. I didn't finish it, and I finished Breath of the Wild. So
Hey, Tim's.
what,
Read your card.
I wanted Persona to win, and I thought it might, but I wrote down that I thought Resident Evil was going to win because of these two fuckers.
Interesting. That was the based on who was here. That was a safe
God, I
bet.
wish I hadn't crossed out Pokemon and wrote
Okay,
Kirby because I was
so-
so close.
So I wrote that I wanted Resident Evil to win.
Yeah.
I actually tore off the part where it said who I was probably going to win, but I wrote Final Fantasy. But hilariously, yesterday before it started, you can read the little Japanese right here. I wrote Pokemon just randomly on there, so I'm
that
gonna
doesn't count.
Steve's
That
the
doesn't
big
count.
winner.
That doesn't
Steve wins the big old bracket.
count. And now it's done.
Oh, I wanted to keep that.
Now we can